This is a build for those that are fans of Jared Ward or Shin Malfa, and if you don't know who they are, then you need to read up on the lore. I'm just kidding. Jared was the original owner of The Last Word, and Shin Malfa was essentially the pioneer of what would become the Golden Gun. Our favourite Lodi voice actor is also a big fan of The Last Word, so consider this video dedicated to him. I don't think we've had a voice actor be this connected to the game since Lance Reddick, so it's really nice to see. Quick PSA, this is not a meta build, and there are definitely better options out there. That being said, this build is pretty fun, weapon focused, and still gets the job done. I've even used it in a Grandmaster Vanguard alert, and I wasn't dead weight. As you can probably guess, we'll be using the Last Word as our exotic weapon, and there's no better exotic armor to pair a hand cannon with than Lucky Pants. The Last Word is a rapid fire hand cannon where the hipfire shots deal bonus precision damage, along with increasing your reload speed and accuracy. Those shots deal 80% more damage than a typical headshot, so your damage is nearly doubled while you're hip firing. Now, as good as that may be, we don't actually want to use that with Lucky Pants, at least for damage. We want to be using one of the new heat weapons called Uncivil Discourse. As it's a special weapon, it will deal more damage than a primary, but it can also get the perk Precision Instrument, so the damage while using Lucky Pants is going to skyrocket. How Lucky Pants works is that when you swap to a hand cannon, you will gain a buff called Illegally Modified Holster, which has a 5-second timer. Dealing damage while this timer is up will increase the stacks up to a max of 10, which increases the damage of your hand cannon. Once the timer is up, it will change to Out of Luck, which is a 10-second timer, and you won't be able to reactivate the effect until that timer is up. As long as you don't damage with your hand cannon, you can just swap to a different weapon and then back, and it will restart the illegally modified holster timer. This is important because if you want to damage a boss with this exotic, you will need to shoot your hand cannon as soon as you swap to it, as the timer does not reset when you begin damaging. The timer does remain if you swap from hand cannon to hand cannon, so the idea is to use the Last Word to gain a few stacks of Lucky Pants, and then swap over to your Uncivil Discourse to do the main part of the damage. I wanted to keep the cowboy sort of theme we're going for, so the only appropriate power weapon is a refurbished A499, which is a great choice alone for just how powerful it is. The perk pool on this weapon though is I think basic is the way to describe it. For this build, you'll likely want to go for Snapshot and Auto-Loading Holster, as we'll be mainly using this to break the kinetic ruptures which we'll be making through the artifact. There is no subclass more fitting for this build than Pure Solar, so that's the subclass we're going with. We'll be running Deadshot Golden Gun for our super, along with On Your Mark and Gunpowder Gamble as our aspects. Gunpowder Gamble offers us some ad clear, which we sorely need as our weapons are all single target focused. With the launch of Renegades, Gunpowder Gamble was changed to now deal more damage and release solar submunitions when shot. On Your Mark grants a stack every time you dodge or get a precision hit, up to a max of 10. This increases your weapon stat, up to a max of 50, along with your reload speed. At 10 stacks, final blows of any kind will cure you. So, now the Last Word can heal, and it can also build up stacks really fast. Now, our fragments are going to synergize really well with Gunpowder Gamble. For starters, we've got Resolve to heal off grenade kills, which Gunpowder Gamble is considered, then we've got Char which will enable our ignitions to apply Scorch. From that, we can utilize Singeing to get our class ability back faster, then Combustion will allow final blows from our Deadshot super to ignite enemies, and finally, Blistering will give us grenade energy from ignition final blows. So they're all working together in one way or another. You may have picked up on the fact that we are not using Knock Him Down, which is the main aspect that most solo hunters run so that we can refund our melee while Radiant. While we aren't running this, we can still very easily get our melee back in full, just in a slightly different way. For the grenade, we're running Firebolt, which has the lowest cooldown and we'll be using it to scorch a specific target. Then for our melee, we're using the weighted throwing knife, which has extra precision damage and causes scorched targets to ignite, but it also refunds our class ability back with precision final blows. You will of course need to run Gambler's Dodge for this, but that's no problem because we now have infinite melees, if you can aim with your knife that is. Stat wise, go for 100 or as close to 100 in super, then at least 50 in melee, 70 in class and grenade, and then as much as you can into weapons. There is no need to go above 150 in weapons, as you'll gain 50 from On Your Mark at max stacks. I've opted for 4 pieces of Tech Sec for this build, which grants increased kinetic damage against combatant shields, vehicles, and constructs. It also allows us to release a disorientating kinetic shockwave when breaking a shield or defeating a powerful combatant with kinetic damage. Tech Sec was from last season, so if you don't have that, then instead go for 4 pieces of Thriving Survivor, which is from the Lawless Frontier. When getting a final blow with a grenade, heat and primary weapons are granted bonus stability, flint speed, and reload speed. Multiple final blows with either of those 2 weapon types grants bonus weapon and grenade stat, and also increases their ammo generation. We'll run through the armor mods really quickly, but you can change these up if you want because there's only a few mods that are really required for this, everything else is just extra and subjective. On your helmet, we want Ashes to Assets for some super energy on grenade kills, then Kinetic Charge Siphon from the artifact, which is Kinetic and Arc Siphon combined, and then we're actually going for a Kinetic Siphon so that our Orbs of Power from our kinetic weapons, which is Last Word and the Sniper, will give us more super energy than usual. Arm-wise, we're going for a Firepower and Heavy-Handed for an Orb of Power on ability kill, and then Impact Induction to get our grenade back faster on melee damage. For your chest, go for 1 melee damage resist as will be close range due to the Last Word, then a charge stop to increase our max armor charge by 1, and then you've got space for an elemental damage resist for the current activity you're in. On your legs, 1 recuperation is always the standard for me, and then we're running 2 kinetic surges to bump our Last Word and sniper damage up. Finally, with your class item, go for a Reaper so that we can make an Orb of Power after dodging, then a special finisher for Uncivil Discourse, and a powerful attraction to collect nearby orbs when we, again, dodge. All that remains now are the artifact mods, which do play a big part in this build. You have the option of Anti-Barrier Hand Cannon or Anti-Barrier Sniper, and I would choose Sniper just because it's going to be quicker and easier. Make sure to pick up Impact Shock Gravity, which grants us the Multi-Siphon mod on our helm. Then we want Elemental Siphon to make fire sprites on rapid kills with a Last Word, Kinetic Synthesis to make ammo for our sniper, and then Kinetic Rupture, which will be breaking using our sniper, as the damage scales with the weapon that broke it. And then finally, Sniper's Mediation for when you just want to dump your sniper ammo in a boss. So those are the mods that I would specifically pick for this build. My actual artifact selection in full is this, so copy it if you want. And that's the end of the build. Historically, gun-focused builds don't exactly beat ability-focused builds, but the idea here was to essentially create a fun build, which, while it may not be up there as the greatest, it gets the job done using something that you've probably not really used in PvE before, and sometimes that's good enough. And you never know, maybe Bungie will finally give the Last Word a catalyst that makes it really good in PvE, and suddenly this build will be meta. As always, thank you very much for watching, have a great day.